What's up guys, I'm Nathonis here with a new Dragon Age Inquisition skill build, the Tempest Archer Rogue. This build utilizes the Tempest specialization to create a very fun and deadly archer. So let's get right into it. In the Archery tree, we are going to spend 6 points, first picking up Death from Above to give you that extra damage bonus whenever you are attacking from a height. Then we'll be taking Long Shot as the standard ranged DPS skill. And to unlock the right side of the tree, we'll be taking First Blood. And even though we're also picking up Explosive Shot, we won't really be using it that much for this build, because the damage of this ability is rather weak. So we're only taking it to unlock the next skill, which is Pincushion, which makes your bow attacks deal progressively more damage with each consecutive hit. Finally, we will be picking up Leaping Shot. And this ability is quite underwhelming by itself, because it requires you to run up close to the enemy to actually hit it with all of your arrows. However, when used together with Flask of Fire and Hook and Tackle, Leaping Shot actually becomes your #1 source of damage. Let me show you what I mean. So the combo you just saw is Hook and Tackle followed up by Flask of Fire and then activating Leaping Shot 3 to 4 times to deal very high damage. So if you've seen my previous Nightmare Archer build, you'll notice that I made some changes. The biggest difference is that I am no longer using full draw. And there are 3 reasons for this. First, I no longer really need the crowd control that you get from the upgrade for full draw, which is called Stunning Shot, as my party tends to kill things very quickly. Second, the damage of full draw is really not that high once you get to the late game. And the last reason is that it has a very long cast time, so I'd rather prefer to not use it. We're also not taking Strafing Shots because the speed bonus to your movement is very small from this ability. We're also not taking any of the skill upgrades in this tree because they are quite weak and situational. I've also dropped all of the points that I used to spend in the Subterfuge tree because I'm finding that I have absolutely 0 problems with aggro. And if something does decide to attack me, I always have Flask of Frost and Flask of Lightning to easily survive. Okay, next in the Sabotage tree, we'll be picking up Poisoned Weapons, which adds a poison effect to all of your attacks. Infected Wounds, which adds a 25% damage bonus to all of your basic attacks whenever poison is active. Fighting Dirty, which increases the duration of your poisons. And finally, Hook and Tackle, which is a skill that allows you to quickly get into melee range with an enemy. So the main reason we are spending points in this tree is to unlock Hook and Tackle. And this skill at first looks almost useless to an archer because you never want to be in melee range, but it actually works very well together with Leaping Shot and Fire Flask because it allows you to deal massive damage very quickly. Alright, and let's finally take a look at the Tempest Tree. So like most specialization trees, the skills here are very good, so we're going to be taking almost everything. First we'll take a Flask of Fire, which is a skill that makes all of your abilities not cost any stamina for 5 seconds, and its upgrade Unquenchable Flames, which also removes the cooldown times when Flask of Fire is active. Then we will be taking Fury of the Storm, which gives you a 10% damage bonus whenever your stamina is below 50%. And this passive will be active most of the time with this build, because you will be pretty low on stamina most of the time. Next you'll pick up Thousand Cuts, which is the focus ability of this tree, and it is one of the most powerful focus abilities in the game. It causes you to attack rapidly for 300% weapon damage with every attack, and this skill is very powerful against bosses in particular. Next you'll pick up Killer's Alchemy, which gives you a 15% damage bonus whenever an elixir is active, and this effect should also be up most of the time, just like Fury of the Storm. Finally, Flask of Lightning at the bottom of this tree is the most fun and the most versatile skill of the Tempest specialization. This flask slows down time around you almost to a standstill, so it looks really cool. At first, this skill appears like a simple DPS ability, but it can also be used to do things like resurrect dead party members, disrupt rifts, or simply move out of a bad situation, because nothing can really threaten you while this flask is active. We'll also pick up the Quicksilver upgrade to make this flask even more potent. So the left side of the Tempest Tree is not nearly as strong as the right side, so I usually pick up these skills last. But in any case, here's a quick rundown of these skills. So Flask of Frost gives you an 85% damage reduction for 5 seconds and also freezes any enemies that attack you in melee range. And this flask is really good for surviving, although it doesn't really give you that much damage. You won't be taking the Bitter Chill upgrade because it is used better by melee rogues. The next Flask Master gives you a 25% chance to not consume an elixir when you activate one, and it also gives you one extra potion slot for your non-healing potions. And finally, Ride the Storm is the best skill in the left side of the tree, and it increases the duration of your elixirs by 3 seconds when you use them back to back. So let's say if you use Flask of Frost and then immediately after that you activate Flask of Lightning, that Flask of Lightning will last 3 seconds longer. Alright, so let's talk about the two central mechanics of this build. First is the Hook and Tackle, Flask of Fire and Leaping Shot combo that I've already mentioned. So this will be your main source of damage, and it can easily take out almost any non-boss enemy in seconds, even on Nightmare difficulty. And it is even more powerful against large targets like dragons, because more of your Leaping Shot arrows will actually land. The second key mechanic of this build is elixirs. So you want to be using them one after another for maximum efficiency and to make the best use of all of your passive bonuses. So the elixir rotation that I usually use is to start out with Flask of Fire and then do my Leaping Shot combo, and then once Flask of Fire expires, I immediately activate Flask of Lightning and do a few auto attacks and long shots, and then once Flask of Lightning is over, I activate Flask of Frost. And even though Flask of Frost doesn't actually add any damage by itself, it is still worth using because it will activate various passive bonuses such as Killer's Alchemy. And here is what this build looks like in action. So I start off every fight by first applying poison weapons, and I also try to keep that up throughout the fight. And then immediately going into the Leaping Shot combo and then into the elixir rotation with auto attacks and long shot in between. And just as a small tip, after you use Hook and Tackle, try to position your back to a wall or a rock if there is one nearby, because that will allow you to land all 4 of your leaping shots in melee range, which will reduce the number of arrows that fly off to the side and don't actually hit anything. And as a final note, you can also use Flask of Fire with a focus ability like 1000 Cuts, and that will make the focus ability not consume any focus. However, this is a bug, and it is very likely that BioWare will patch that pretty soon. So thanks for watching, guys. Let me know what you think about the build in the comments, and I'll see you next time.